Hello everyone, really happy to welcome you on the second edition of the Inbounds. It's our event in Limacon about people and companies that are using this amazing inbound philosophy preached by our amazing partners in HubSpot. So our first edition was about frictionless sales. We spoke about the process on how you find those difficult moments in your sales process and how easily you can remove it. And of course, what are the digital instruments that can help you achieve more in your sales process? Our distinguished guest was Kyle Jepsen from HubSpot, inbound professor, and also one of our amazing teachers in the HubSpot Academy. Today we continue with amazing people here live. With us is Tiphaine from HubSpot as well. She's also inbound professor. Hi, Tiphaine.
Hey, hi everyone.
She's located in Berlin, but she's French. She will be introducing herself shortly in a little. But I just want to say we have switched from our previous platform, so that's why we sent to you all the link to Zoom. You know Zoom, so you can also just address questions or share your thoughts about the topics that we will cover in this approximately 1 hour event. So everybody is free to comment, to share his thoughts, and of course ask questions, specific questions about today's topic. So we're going to speak today about buyer personas. Buyer personas are something very important in the whole process of succeeding in the systematic marketing and sales approach. It's not something that is, let's say, something that is not so needed in the whole process, but very, very important strategic approach. So creating buyer personas have different instruments, have also different kinds of approaches that we can use. Today we're going to speak about HubSpot philosophy and how HubSpot is creating buyer personas and how HubSpot are also advising its customers and employees of creating buyer personas. I just want to share something interesting with you, Tiphaine, because your name actually before as we started to get each other, to know each other, I thought that your name is like Tiffany from French, but of course it's now I got it that it's Tiphaine. And what I can say to you, if you want to say I am Tiphaine in Bulgarian, it will be Asam Tiphaine, which means I am your fan. So it's very interesting. And if you someday come to Bulgaria to visit, and if you say to someone Asam Tiphaine, he will be very pleased and will be surprised also to hear that. So you just to know.
I love it. It's a great topic. I love it.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm just giving the word to you. I will be also observing the chat panel. So if some questions comes up, then I will address them immediately or after your part, and then we can also address after that questions from the audience as well. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you for this great introduction. So I'm gonna start by sharing my screen with everyone and starting by thanking everyone who's here today for this webcast about how to create the best buyer personas. So basically, we're gonna see how they can help you create more customized content, analyze more results, and eventually close more deals and generate more revenue. So before we move on to this topic, I'd like to present myself really quickly. So my name is Tiphaine, and I am an inbound professor at HubSpot. And I joined HubSpot last December. So it's been 6 months now. And my main role is to develop education content for HubSpot Academy in French. I don't only do that, obviously. Just to give you a bit of context, before joining HubSpot, I actually worked for tech companies such as Oracle or LinkedIn as an account executive, so in sales. and I'm from Grenoble in France, but yeah, I'm actually talking from my living room here in Berlin.
And how is your German? How is your German as well?
Mein German ist sehr gut.
Oh, ja, ja, wunderbar. Dankeschön, Dankeschön.
Dankeschön. So today's objectives will be to understand what buyer personas are and why they are important for your organization, and also how to use them with HubSpot. So just to walk through the agenda of today's webcast, first of all, I'm gonna just walk you through a brief introduction on buyer personas, then see why they actually are important for your company, how you can define your organization's buyer personas, how you can develop them, and finally, why doing it in HubSpot. And of course, we'll take some time with Ivan to answer any questions you may have.
Great.
So if it's clear for everyone, I'm going to start with presenting some figures. So I'd like to highlight a few numbers that I found. So just so you know, all the sources of the studies will be in the slides that we'll send you after this webcast. So don't worry, you can find these surveys then in the resource slide. So first of all, using marketing personas made website 2 to 5 times more effective and easier to use for the targeted users. That's really important. Second interesting figure, using buyer persona in an email campaign improved open rate by 2 times and click-through rate by 5 times. This is huge. Yes. And finally, according to Mark W. Schiffer, 3 to 4 personas usually account for over 90% of a company's sales. Yes. So if the question about if buyer personas are important, the answer is yes.
Oh, yes.
So let's see now what buyer personas are. So one of the most, I think, important thing your company can do is get a clear definition on who your ideal customer is. And this definition needs to be developed jointly between marketing and sales. And if you want to sell efficiently and more, you have to have a deep understanding of the people who tend to buy from you. And so a great way to get this understanding is to create a buyer persona. So I'm going to give you a brief description and definition of buyer persona. So it's a fictional, generalized representation of your ideal customers. So they help you understand your customers better and make it easier for you to tailor content to the specific needs, behaviors, and concerns of different groups. Basically, understand who you want to target and what they want to get from you. So let's dive a bit deeper in this topic. So an ideal customer profile allows you to identify a category of people, and within this category, there are usually subcategories, such as people's roles, some demographics or psychographics, or their goals or challenges. And these subcategories are your buyer persona. So you take your ideal customer profile, and from it, you get your buyer persona.
By customer profile, it was like, okay, yeah, sorry, we are getting to there.
Yeah, I'm going to go through everything again with examples. This is just the introduction. So Ivan, you mentioned actually Kyle before. So I'm actually going to quote him for this part. So Kyle said that what you need is to, for buyer personas, is to start by creating your ideal customer profile and then define your personas based on the sorts of people your personas are based on. So, for example, if you are in B2B, yeah, your ideal customer profile will define which companies are a good fit for you, and then your buyer personas will define the people at those companies who need to work with you. In B2C, you take the specific people and then the specific needs of those people to get to buyer personas. So there's one thing which is really important for you to know is that you should not confuse buyer personas with job functions. So the best way to group through buyer personas is by the goal they're looking to achieve or the challenge they're looking to overcome. So that's the most meaningful and powerful way of grouping them together, challenges or goals. And creating very specific buyer personas can dramatically improve your business results. And we're going to see later why. So you won't be able to position what you're selling to meet customers' needs without knowing who your customers are. So yeah, I mean, indeed, it's difficult for a business to create an effective strategy to attract or to sell and delight any type of people. You can't just sell to anybody. I mean,
and let me just add here, there are lots of companies that are saying, I know my customers, I don't need to create buyer personas to knowing them better. And that's very, let's say, very false to say, because it's not something that is in your head, but it needs to be really very nice strategized and written so that everyone in the company get to know your customer. And that's very important stuff.
Exactly. And we're going to actually go into this in details. First of all, this is not only marketing, it's like the entire company, your sales department, your support department. And also, I mean, of course, you know who your buyers are, but you really need to get some data and some research on it. But we're gonna see it in more details. But of course, I mean, in order to grow your company, you need to understand your ideal customers and inside and out, really deeply. And then you need to integrate that research across your entire business, exactly what you said, Ivan. And then regarding the number of buyer personas, you know, it could be as little as 1 or 2 buyer personas for your entire offering. There's no problem. Or 10 to 20 buyer personas. This is really your choice and how you find it relevant for your business or not. So now let's see why actually buyer personas are important for your company. So I'd like to start with one statement that says that one of the classic principles of all great marketing is to obviously know your audience, right? But it doesn't only apply to marketing. That's what you said, Ivan, earlier on. Your entire organization will benefit from it. So to give you an example, for example, it can help salespeople to better relate with their prospects and find the optimal solutions for them. Or it could help the support people of your company to solve the problems more effectively. So at the end, buyer personas will be useful for all your organization's department. And I think more importantly, it keeps the customer at the heart of your business. So before you create any piece of content, whether it's like a social message that you want to put on social media or a blog article or even a larger initiative like an inbound campaign, you should always ask yourself, who is this for?
Yeah.
And if you understand your customers well enough that you can help them get promoted, they're going to love you for that. Of course, I mean, they're gonna need to and want to buy from you, and not just once, but over and over again. And this is really important. And speaking of which, I'd like to have a really quick chat on the inbound methodology that actually HubSpot developed, and especially the flywheel, which is the cycle one. So why I want to take some time talking about it, it's because this will help you understand why buyer persona are so important for your business growth. So usually people use a funnel model that comes from marketing to sales and then customer at the bottom of it. And that's it. But the flywheel puts the customers at the center, as you can see on the slides, and any business and keep it spinning so that customers can always attract new leads and new sales. And it's basically always in movement. So basically, this methodology focuses on how to build a flywheel that attracts, engages, and delights, basically creating an inbound business that puts, again, the customer first and at the center of your business. And basically, while using it, you'll be able to accelerate your sales process by better meeting the needs of the people who match your buyer personas. And this is how your inbound flywheel will spin again and make your business more successful and your prospects and clients happier.
Exactly.
So I'd like to move on now to just see how you can define your organization's buyer persona. Now we saw the definition, what is this? Let's see how concretely you can do it. So let's start with your ideal customer profile. And this ideal customer profile can be created in a meeting, for example, between marketing and sales. You just bring the right people together in the same room, and then you just maybe use, I don't know, some past sales data or some marketing data as well, and start making a checklist. So who is buying from us? But then it is key to develop your buyer's persona really clearly by talking to the people who basically are buying things from you. So your persona research should start with data, but then eventually you need information that can only be gathered by asking people directly. So what kind of questions? Let's say, for example, you can start by identifying 15 people. You can sit down with them or call them, and then you can ask them the same questions. And you might even consider scripting the questions so you make sure you ask them the same way to each person. So I just created a list of a few examples of questions to ask, but you can find online many other lists, longer lists. But just to give you an example, so if you're in B2B, you could ask, what does it mean to be successful in your role? In B2C, what are your goals, personal goals? What are your biggest challenges? What is your job role or your job title? Which publications or blogs do you read? What are your shopping preferences? Basically, where can you find them and where do they go? Where do they like to go? What do they like to read? And of course, the demographics, who they are. And then you need to combine the results with the data that we talked previously. And this will give you a rich description of a kind of person you can be a hero to, basically. So even though the information in the persona will be based on information from multiple people, it should basically sound as though it's describing one single individual. And then you can give this individual a name, a picture, and then voila, you have a buyer persona. So, okay, to be a bit more concrete, I just made some examples here for B2B and B2C. So let's try to think about how different your buyer persona will be if you are working in B2B or in a B2C environment. So first of all, you will answer the same questions in terms of demographics, education, or job. Then for B2B, you will gather information about their role, their business goals and challenges, as well as their maybe personal ones. You will also need to emphasize their position in the hierarchy, so who they relate to, what is the decision-making process, and basically where they are situated in this decision-making process. Some people can be champions, some people could be influencers, some people could be the final decision maker, and you really need to know that. And then for the example of B2C, you will gather information about their personal goals and challenges, maybe objectives, then maybe what they like, what they don't like, what influences their decision-making process, how they like to buy, which kind of website they go on, which kind of blog post they read, etc. Basically, the process is kind of similar, but depending on B2B or B2C, you will deep dive into different topics to be able to understand better your audience. Okay, so now let's see how you can develop your buyer persona. So basically, HubSpot has a free tool that you can use that helps you develop buyer personas. So I'm just gonna quickly show you how it looks like. It's very easy and it's free. So basically, you can just add a name of your persona, then an avatar. Then you can add also the demographics, so the age or age range, and also the education level. Then the industry they work in. So yeah, put sales, the size of the organization, if it's SMB or a big enterprise. Then you're gonna deep dive a bit deeper into the persona, so their job title, How's their job measured? So if you take a salesperson, well, they have KPIs like quotas to achieve every quarter, and who they report to. Again, where are they in the hierarchy? Then what are their personal goals or objectives? So again, a salesperson who have a quota to achieve per month or quarter. And then what are their biggest challenges? So you see here, you can group them per challenges. And then here you can add their job responsibilities to be a bit more precise. So here you already have like a really clear picture, and then you're gonna be a bit more specific with explaining how they work. So again, you can just check some boxes, and they will group people by different personas as well. And then what they prefer, like how they prefer to communicate. Lastly, where they go. So where should you be?
Yeah.
So here I put, for example, LinkedIn or Twitter. So you know that then you should only focus on those social networks. And then you have your full presentation of your buyer persona that you can download and use for other, like when you need it, basically. So then you may ask me, okay, so this is nice, you know, buyer persona, interesting. On the paper, it sounds great, but okay, how do you use them and why they are useful? So again, I'm going to show you, if you have HubSpot, how you can use your buyer persona, and then I'm going to give you some more examples. So again, this is a quick video. So if you go on your HubSpot personal dashboard, you can add a report, and then just look for the report called Top Personas. You save your report, you add it to your dashboard, and then it's going to show basically your top personas. Then you can add them. So exactly on the same principle that what we saw earlier on, you're going to add the name, you know, a picture if you want to add a picture, and so on and so forth. So why is it interesting and why is it useful? Once you have all those data in your dashboard, you're going to be able to basically know how many deals you close with these specific personas. You're going to be able to, I don't know, send customized emails or create and customize workflows. And also, I think this is the most important one. You're going to be able to see who is your strongest persona. Remember the first figures we saw at the very beginning of this webcast, like two to three personas will actually be 90% of your sales. So
yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
Ivan, do you wanna show us how maybe Limacon does it?
I will add something here just to be also to support your thesis. When we're talking about HubSpot, and not all of our attendees currently are let's say using HubSpot, and I hope that will change because it's an amazing tool. But HubSpot is very useful when it comes to segmentation, to personalization. So in today's world, in order to achieve more in terms of open rate, reactions, engaging in meaningful conversation with your potential clients, you need to be very specific about their needs. So personas are helping us achieving that, but just technically, you can organize everything in HubSpot based on those type of segmentation. So you can segment, let's say, I want to send this message to everyone that is with title CEO in B2B companies in the area of Sofia, let's say, or something like that. But as Tiphaine already mentioned, job title and job function is something very different from the buyer personas, because buyer persona can include lots of job titles. And that's why we also advise our customers to use personas for segmentation of their messages, not only titles, because there are different types of job titles, let's say Chief Executive Officer, Chief Management Officer, and so on, so on, so on, so many. And you can just combine them under one decision-making persona that is, let's say, the owner or the executive officer of this company. And that's very, very important. So I will just also share, because of course HubSpot is a tool. It's very nice. Not everyone is using, as I said, HubSpot, so we don't force all our clients to build their personas in HubSpot. But what I can show you now, just a second to put my presentation here. Uh, where is that going now? Let me just check. Okay. Do you see my screen now or no?
No.
Still no. Okay. Now I'm just sharing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you see the Mr. Business Development Manager?
Yes.
Okay. So we use a simple PowerPoint slide. We have two parts of creating buyer personas. The one is, of course, we give, of course, let's say a face, a personality. We have here a slogan that defines this person. So it's a business development manager in a IT company that has this motto: work is more than work. It's passion. I love my numbers and the strategy we've created with the team. So this slogan also helps you get to know this person more and more. And then, of course, as we have here a short description, a short view about this person. And as Tiphaine mentioned, the demographics, is it a male or female mostly? What kind of age, educational status, location, where we can find this person? And also his aims, what are his goals, what are his challenges, and of course the source of information, as you also saw in the HubSpot 2, where we can also, from which source of information he's getting his knowledge about some kind of products or solutions. And on the second slide, we have the buyer's journey. So maybe you all know, but there is three phases of the buyer's journey. So the awareness phase, consideration, decision. So awareness phase is the phase where the person realizes that he has some kind of a problem. Let's say I'm short on staff and I can reach my projects to the end. So in the consideration phase, he is considering the different options of finding solution of this problem. So hiring an HR company, or giving more to salary to the current employees that they can work hard and hard. And then the decision phase is already the phase where this person has decided how to address his problems. And the good marketer and the inbound marketing actually address the person in all those stages. So we have also here listed some kind of advices in every kind of stage that can help content management, content creators create better content for this persona. And of course, we have a very short advices as well on how we can persuade him to buy our product. So if he is a business person, development manager, he needs detailed offers, he needs good recommendations, he is being proactive. So we need to be also proactive and professional. High level of competence is very important for him. Understanding of his requirements, that's something that also Tiphaine mentioned before. And of course, we need to offer him sustainable products, not something that will be, let's say, out of support in the next month or something like that. So we defined this buyer persona in this way, and that actually helps us achieve a lot. And we were just talking about the case studies. I will also mention some interesting stories based on buyer persona creations after that.
Yeah, I mean that's I really like these slides, and especially the second slide when you can see the buyer journey and also how to persuade him. Because if you go back on just the topic of, it's not only for you sales team that buyer personas are important, but also marketing and support. When you see how to work with him, I mean, this is useful for salespeople, for marketing people, for support. So that's a great example. Thank you, Ivan.
What I can add as well is I would just note to myself that buyer personas are also very important in the process of onboarding new employees. So it's very easy for a new salesperson or a new marketing person or just administrative person as well to show them who are your clients. That's very important as well for the onboarding process. We can also, let's say, confirm that from our experience.
I agree. This is a very good point. Yeah, I mean, talking about, as we said, some maybe customer experience or maybe case studies. I actually have gathered 2 case studies I'd like to share with everyone today. So it is SMB companies, so for up to 100 employees. So the first one is SkyTap. So SkyTab is a self-service provider of cloud automation solutions, and they are based in the US, in Seattle. So to give you like quick numbers, but they are pretty impressive. Targeted personas lifted sales leads by 124%. They saw 97% increase in online leads. This is huge. And I like the last one, 210% increase in North American site traffic, just by implementing buyer personas.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that it works. Second case study that I have for you today is HankMe. So HankMe is a company based in Chile. And basically, crazy numbers as well. So what happened is that to perform an SEO overhaul, HankMe started by understanding its buyer persona. And then they continuously improved their pillar content strategy as they learned more about what their audience was interested in reading. So again, giving their audience what they wanted to see.
Yeah.
And they also optimized their content for their buyer personas. And then, thanks to that, in the course of 9 months, so in a very short period of time, HankMe saw an impressive amount of session growth and new leads. So basically, overall sessions grew by 882% in 9 months. New leads grew by 645% at the same time, which basically generated roughly 250 new leads in 1 month for the business.
Wow.
I repeat, 250 new leads in 1 month. This is very impressive, and again, only thanks to creating good buyer personas.
Oh, great! Yeah, it's really impressive. I can also confirm that in terms of using buyer personas as well. So it's really important in the whole strategy of a company.
Yeah. Do you have maybe even also like an example of I don't know, case study that some of your customers, like some result they had using buyer personas?
Yeah, we do. We use in all of our content strategy for our customers. We use buyer personas before we start working as outsourced marketing or sales department for a customer. We do perform a marketing or sales workshop where we talk about strategic goals, about challenges, and of course about our clients, customers, and then we create the buyer personas that we after that built on our content or sales strategy. We have a client who is a B2B company that's selling lots of products for the agriculture, so also for end customers as well, like something for the gardener and everything else that can make your place more beautiful. And we have created specific buyer personas, and one of those personas related to B2B is the architect that creates the projects about, let's say, if you want to have a villa with a nice gardener, you need to hire someone to tell you how you need to, what kind of plants do you need to have here because of the climate and so on and so on. And those people are very important as partners in our sales process because they're our relations to the end customer. And something very important that I can also advise our audience here is when you're using buyer personas, and as Tiphaine said, you need to go and ask those buyer personas about their needs, challenges, and of course what they want. And what came out of our conversations with the architects is that they're really eager, they're really willing to step on a camera and say a few interesting things about their work. So actually the best thing to do maybe of using buyer persona is to show the buyer persona to the world. So if you are looking on a video where a professional architect is speaking about solutions for your garden, if you are also an architect, so you will rely very directly to this buyer persona, and this will automatically engage with the brand. And you can say, oh, those people, they're really, let's say they're knowing what they're doing. And of course, obviously, they're also working with people like me. So I need to go on the phone or just write them an email and I want to contact with them. And we witnessed, we made a series of videos about, let's say, case studies, but case studies not related to our work, but to theirs work. So we gone there and we have filmed the work of those architects, And then we have spread it through, of course, through social media and advertising. And we witnessed after that a huge amount of inquiries from those kind of people because we actually nailed this persona very, very specifically. So it's not only about writing something down, it's also about using this. And my second example will be also in terms of using all the information. So as you saw in our slides, you have the aims, you have the goals, you have the dreams of these buyer personas, but you have also the fears. And you know also what those people don't like. You can also use this in order to engage with them. We currently have a client who is producing a very specific solution for data security. So our buyer personas are really very high level specialists in cybersecurity. So that the real people with they don't want to be bullshit with, they don't want to have like a fancy sentences and wow, and this solution is wow, it's amazing. No, they want to be very specific and professional. And what they really don't like is to state something that is not true. And actually, I use this in our sales, in our outreach messages in LinkedIn. I use this thing that annoys them a lot in order to get amazing response rate for them. So it's like, if you're speaking to a cybersecurity specialist, never say to him that your solution is unbreachable. Because according to them, and it's normal, there is no such thing as unbreachable system. Everything can be breached. But till this moment, our system haven't been breached at all. So normally I can use this, let's say theoretically, I can use this subject and this word in my sentence. And when I was writing to them, we have created a solution that is practically unbreachable. There was like replying, of course, like right away there was replying to my question because they were like, no, there is not such a thing as unbreachable. Can you prove me that? And okay, I will prove you. But we were in conversation. So as a sales or marketing person, you can use all the elements of the buyer persona to create this meaningful conversation or engage with them. So this is very important also to say. And we can just also, of course, everyone is welcome to address questions or comments. Please feel free to ask us anything. And I have some other words also to add to this as a comment that, but I will give you the word now to you, and then maybe later just.
Yeah, thank you, Ivan. I really like this story. It's actually really clever. And if there's any salesperson watching us now, I mean, could use it. I think it's really clever just to open the conversation, poke the bear a bit.
Yeah, poke the bear. Be brave. Actually, everyone in the marketing, do you know what we witness here as well in our professional sphere? We marketers and salespeople, we are afraid sometimes of getting the real feedback. And that's something that stops a lot of the efforts of a company, because in order to get to know more of your client, you need to confront them. You need to ask them really frankly, hey man, are you really like my product? What is the most worst thing about my product or service that you don't like? And this conversation, you can engage, or you can, let's say, spread throughout social media with meaningful messages. But lots of people are afraid about bad feedback, or about engaging really in a conversation with people in internet. And that's something that we need to fight really to get less fear in our colleagues. And of course, in sales, this is like a huge burden. You cannot be afraid of getting somebody to know you and your product. Of course, that's the goal. So that's something that really stopping us from achieving more. And I think buyer personas and also this kind of systematic processes that HubSpot is implementing can help us a lot of feeling more comfortable in doing conversations with people.
Yeah, and again, just knowing your audience. And
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like that was a, I think, great transition to just finish what I was talking about. But just to recap quickly what I just said during this last 30 minutes. So to recap, think about your ideal customer, and then ask existing customers some key questions. I give you some examples. Of course, you can find others online. Then build your buyer personas, and most of everything else, use them across all your organization to offer better products and services, customized content, and eventually gain more customers and keep existing ones.
Yeah.
This is our main goal here with buyer personas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's next? That's it for me. That's the end of my presentation. So feel free to add me on LinkedIn. My name is Tiphaine Amblard. If you're on Twitter as well, you can add me on Twitter. And so if you're looking for some more detailed content on buyer persona, you can go on HubSpot Academy. It's free. And you can find a few classes in English about buyer personas if you want to have more details about this topic.
Great, great. I also do recommend the HubSpot Academy, amazing free courses that can teach you a lot. We also have implemented doing and going through all the courses here in our company. So that's also very important for our employees as well. Okay, thank you. So as far as I can see, there are not any questions or comments. Maybe, as I said, people are shy of getting into conversation with us, but that's okay. I think some people are just feeling more comfortable or watching and listening, and that's also okay. I hope it was really useful and something that they can also implement in their work. What I can add also is in terms of using reports from buyer personas, that's also very interesting because the idea of the flywheel and what Tiphaine actually showed us previously, and not the funnel, is that nothing ends with winning a customer. That's just a part of the whole process, of the whole journey with someone. So a successful brand, a successful company actually implements whole other processes after gaining someone as a customer, because then begins the real hard procedure in retaining this customer and having him as on your side as long as you can have him. So here we speak about the so-called customer lifetime value. And let's say in a year, we can extract information, reports from HubSpot about which of our buyer personas has brought us the most value. So which of those customers' lifetime value is something that brought to us more revenue and, of course, a more meaningful projects. That's very important. And everything that HubSpot does in terms of segmentation and also data collection is, of course, is aiming to give you more structured information, and so that you can make more better business decisions for your business and for your strategy in the future.
Yeah.
I just have here Savina, who is thanking us for the, she's thanking us for the interesting information. Yeah, thank you, Savina, as well. I must add that buyer personas are very important process, a very important part of the whole inbound structuring process. So when we create strategy for our customers, we start from, of course, customer profiles, the industries that they want to sell in. And after that, as you mentioned, different buyer personas within this customer profile. So let's say, for an example, we can sell services in a company, in a B2B company, to the CEO, to the owner, or maybe to the marketing director, to the business development manager, to the human relations manager. So it's something very important that you also create different types of buyer personas within one company. And as I always want to say, they're not secondary buyer personas, but they're buyer personas that can help you get to the decision maker. So it's also very important to address those people. And we have a customer that is offering cleaning services. So let's say maintenance, all kind of maintenance for buildings, mostly B2B production companies. And when we speak about decision-making process, of course, the people that are doing taking the decision about hiring a company for those kind of services are mostly the owner of the company, or let's say the CEO or some executive. But the real person that is having the trouble of not having a company that supports us in the cleaning process is the lady or the administrative person that is always struggling with the bad shape in the office. So those are the persons that are really experiencing the, let's say, the not very clean office and so on and so on. So you can also address her, although she's not the direct person that will say to you, okay, we can doing business. But if you win her on your side, then you have someone who can also present you to the owner very easily. So it's very important to address those, not only focusing on the decision maker and just trying to get him. And there are lots of people, our colleagues in the sales process are really saying, oh man, it's so hard to speak with the owner. It's so hard to speak with the owner. And when we talk about the strategy, it turns out that it's not only the owner in the whole process that you need to win, or you can just win somebody else in the company in order to get inside the company. So that's very important to not underestimate other people within the company and create very specific buyer personas for them.
Yeah, actually, it gets me to, so we have two questions actually here, which is one that's actually really related to what you said. So what is the most innovative and novel element you have seen included in a buyer persona? So that's exactly what you said, Ivan, I think. Just like, keep in mind that you're not selling to only one person. So being innovative is just to really realize that your offering can target different kind of people, even though it's kind of the same product, but the way you're gonna advertise it will be different in terms of different people. So if you take, for example, I mean, okay, it's an easy example for me, but like HubSpot has different buyer personas. And so for the one who knows HubSpot has different products as well. And understanding those buyer personas really helped HubSpot to develop tools that actually help people in their day-to-day job. So, I mean, yeah, that was a really innovative way for HubSpot to do it. And then there's a second question, which is what is the role of customer support in creating the buyer personas, and what way of presenting the persona and tips to them would you recommend? So yeah, it goes back to our talk about, buyer persona are important not only for your sales team, but also marketing and of course, customer support. And I think it's a great question. So thank you very much for asking it, because I don't know why, but some companies tend to forget this part of the business, the customer support one, which is on the flywheel, the delight part, what we saw earlier on, while they are so important, they're as important as marketing and sales in your organization. They're all important. And basically, remember that at the end, they are the one talking to your existing customers. So they know them. Yeah. So actually, those people should be maybe the ones you should also gather in a team meeting or in a room to just say, okay, guys, so what do you hear? Like, what complaints do you hear? And what's the feedback you have from existing customers? And maybe those people could actually be the ones interviewing your existing customers, and knowing by your persona for them will allow them to always offer better solutions and delight your customer even better.
I know what you mean, because I've witnessed this in a larger organization where customer support, or of course people that are replying on chat inquiries, let's say in Facebook or on a web chat, and they know lots of let's say of the thoughts of the people and what they know about and what they mean about their services and products, and this information doesn't get to the salespeople at all. So nobody talks to the salespeople and say, guys, this product is shit. And I have here 10 people that said this thing broke up on the next day. So you need to change something. And that's, it's like, maybe this and this will help you also sell this better, because I saw that this is the greatest fear when they ask. And let's say 9 of 10 people are asking about, not about the price, but about if this is safe for kids, maybe if it's a product related to home. So it's a very, as you said, it's a very, very important to streamline the whole process through service, marketing, and sales, customer relations as well, so that everyone is on the same page about their customers and constantly information can flow. And this is also very important in this process to have platforms and instruments like HubSpot, because then you can add everything on one place. So you can just go on a specific client and you can just like see everyone puts notes there, information about emails, calls, thoughts, meetings with him, and you can just build a better view of this customer. And something very important to add, creating your buyer persona is not ending developing it. It's like it's the buyer persona is also like the normal real person. It changes, so you cannot rely on the buyer personas that you have created the previous year.
Yeah.
And it's now is the time actually to change your buyer personas, because everyone now is afraid about COVID-19. And so this is something that you need to put in your messages to address this fear, to address these challenging times in your buyer persona. So you cannot rely on, let's say, old buyer personas. So you need to constantly develop those buyer personas through the journey.
And then great question. So how often should we update our buyer personas? What do you think, Ivan?
Well, currently, before the crisis, when somebody asked me about strategic approach, and we always very often advise our clients not only about sales and marketing, but also on strategic goals. And for us, short term was like 3 years. It's like if you plan after 3 years, it's already uncertain. Long term was 3 years, and short term was 1 year. And nowadays, we witness that everything can change within a month. So I would advise at least on a 6 months basis to be the buyer persona to be updated from our experience.
Me too, and it's also related to one point. So I don't know how comfortable people are with NPS or surveys, just to know like feedback and advocacy, how happy your customers are. But like you should maybe ask your customers like every 6 months, like your existing customers, how happy they are with your products and services. So as well as asking for some feedback, you should also try to, revise a bit your buyer persona, every 6 months at least.
Yeah. NPS, Net Promoter Score, is also very important tool for getting more information from your current clients. So of course, addressing new one and finding new is very important, let's say, task in your company, but also talking constantly with your current clients, and not only about selling them something or upselling or cross-selling them something, but just asking them how they feel, or what are they now experiencing this current situation. It's very, very important. I will add here some interesting link, Tiphaine, in our channel. It's an amazing tool. I was recently, I found recently from HubSpot about COVID-19 data. And you know it for sure. I can advise all our people to look there, because it's an amazing live statistics information from over 70,000 clients of HubSpot. So HubSpot goes in and just extracts information about deal creation, email sending, so we can see how COVID-19 worldwide has impacted more than 70,000 businesses. That's a huge valued information, and that's something that also HubSpot tries to, let's say, mirror the feelings of their clients and show them to the world, so that can be very useful information for everyone and taking strategic decisions in these difficult times. So you can also explore the data and see how goals have changed, how deals have changed. So very few deals now, and lots of emails and calling, because now marketing and sales teams are pushing harder than ever to achieve more and to find new clients, because of course the old one have restricted some budgets and so on and so on. So you can through this link and this tool, you can just see that this situation is also worldwide now challenging. It's not only in Bulgaria or Germany or somewhere else. And I think we spoke also with Tiphaine previously about digitalization. So I think now is the time to realize and to choose to invest more in digitalizing your business. So marketing and sales and also some other tools. So HubSpot offers also great and amazing tools for project management as well, and other informations. Yes, exactly. So you can use other tools as well, but digitalizing your enterprise means more stable and secure workflow and processes.
Yeah.
And if you go now home to work from home, you can easily do that. So it's not something that will, like, say, bring down your business if you need to leave your office. And that's times, and those times we're living in now, they will not change for long. So it's something that we can need to address right away.
Yeah. So we have two last questions before we end this webcast. A quick one that asks if HubSpot offers a solution to follow the activity and satisfaction of our leads and clients. The answer is yes. Actually, many different tools. Satisfaction, you have actually a service hub that helps you with NPS survey and feedback surveys. So you can have a look on Google as well. Reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have more questions as well. Last question before we finish. Are there any red flags that you need to revise the persona? What you need to be looking at to understand they are not built very well? And I think it's a great question to finish this webcast. Yes. First of all, just use the analytics to see if you're actually selling to these people or not. And then again, remember, buyer personas are not either job roles or ideal customers.
Yes, exactly. Of course, the best way to know if you are on the right path is when people are responding to your messages. So engaging in meaningful conversation is the most important philosophy that we need to embrace in terms of doing business with someone else. It's not just pushing to them some sales messages or products. It's all about getting to know more people and to getting to know their problems and how you can solve them or help them solve them. So that's why buyer personas are very, very important in this whole structure and this strategy. Okay, actually Tiphaine asked me if I can look out for questions, but that was, thank you Tiphaine that you actually looked out for the questions. I was missing some of them, of course. Thank you very much for stepping in, and thank you so much for attending the Inbounds, our online event at LimaCon. It was really a pleasure talking to you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys in HubSpot, and I hope really that those challenging times are at least very soon in some way behind us, and we can also have physical events, on-site events, and enjoy the weather and so on and so on. So thank you so much. And as you mentioned, we will send you the recording. We will send you the Tiphaine's presentation, and of course some extra information and useful links. And you can be free to add her in LinkedIn or ask her other questions, or you can feel free and ask us about HubSpot or some other solutions that you can also implement in your daily life. And I can say now in Bulgarian, Tiphaine, ask some Tiphaine.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Bye. Have a great evening, and thank you for everyone for attending.
Thank you. My pleasure. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.